17.
We are so blessed by the gifts from your hand. I just can't understand why you love us so much. We are so blessed. I just can't find a way or the words that can say. Thank you, Lord, for your touch. When you're empty, you fill us till we overflow. When we're hungry, you feed us and cause us to grow. We are so blessed. Take what we have to bring. Take it all, everything, for we love you so much. Let's go back a few pages and find what page I go down here. There we go. Toward the front to number 8. His name is wonderful. His name is wonderful. His name is wonderful. Jesus, my Lord. He is the mighty King, Master of everything. His name is wonderful. Jesus, my Lord. He's the great shepherd, the rock of all ages, Almighty God is King. Bow down before Him, come and adore Him. His name is wonderful, Jesus my Lord. Let's go to our hymnal, and let's sing our little hymnal 404, Lily of the Valley. I found a friend in Jesus, He's everything to me. He's the fairest of 2,000 to my soul. And the lily of the valley, in Him alone I see all I need to cleanse and make me fully whole. In sorrow He's my comfort, in trouble He's my stay. He tells me every care on Him to roll. He's the let's go to back to our chorus book, way back towards the back, chorus number 227. Come, Holy Spirit, I need you. Come, sweet Spirit, I pray. Come in your strength and your power. Come in your own gentle way. Come, Holy Spirit, I need you. Come, sweet Spirit, I pray. Come in your strength and your power. Come in your own gentle way. Thank you for your singing. Be a good time to go to prayer this evening. Let's remember the prayer requests that were mentioned this morning. Several needs listed in the bulletin. Does anyone have any prayer need you'd like to mention tonight before we go to prayer? Okay, anybody? Raise your hand. Several? Okay, let's stand. Mike, would you lead some prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come to your house, Lord, tonight to worship, to sing songs to you, Lord. We're reminded how blessed we truly all are because of you, Father. And we thank you. We come to you and thank you for the blessings that you rain down on us each and all every day, Father. We thank you for this day, for this beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you, Father, for this house to come to worship you. We thank you most of all for Lord, for your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Father, I pray that we never forget, Father, the price that was paid for our reconciliation, Father. I thank you, Father. Father, I come to you now to pray, to lift up those around us, Father, who need you so much, Lord. The physical needs, Father, among us, and you know each and every one of them. We think of Shauna, Lord, as she's in the hospital and being treated, Lord, by the doctors. We pray, Father, for her, that your healing hand would be on her, Father, that you would be with all of her doctors, give them the wisdom that they need, Lord, to help her find out this problem, Lord, and to help take it from her. Father, we pray that if it's not your will, Lord, that this infection or this cause being in her, Lord, that you would take it away from her, Father. And Father, we thank you again for our pastor, for him being able to come in among us, Father, this day. We thank you, Father, for being in the presence with him, and we know that it was your healing hand, Father, that rests on him. We thank you, Father, for the information that we've been given about how he's come along and these tumors seem to go away. Father, we credit you for all of this, for we know with man that this is impossible. Lord, but with you all things are possible. We thank you and we give you thanks. Father, I know there are so many other needs around us, Lord, and I won't remember each and every one, but I know that you see and know each and every one. Even the ones, Father, that we've held up our hands in silence, Lord, to symbol a need. Father, I know that you know each and every one of them, and I pray, Father, that your will would be done with each and every one. I pray that you would be with us this night, Lord. I pray that your Spirit would come. I pray, Father, that you would fill us. Open our ears, open our eyes, and give us attentive hearts, Father, that we can listen and learn. Pray that you be with Sean as he brings us the message this evening, that you would anoint him, Father, to bring us your word. All these things I ask in Jesus' precious name.
Amen. Okay, at this time we'll take up the offering. We can wait on an usher. Somebody can help us today. Tonight we'll take up the offering. Thank you, Mike. Pray. Father, we're thankful, Lord, for your gifts to us and many blessings you provide for us. We pray that you bless this offering, bless the gift and the giver in Jesus' name.
Brother Dick for that song. Great message. Thank you. I think before we turn it over to Sean, let's give you an opportunity. If you have anything on your heart tonight you'd like to share, we'll just wait on you this evening. And if there's anything you have on your heart you would like to share tonight that would help us and help you, we'll give you just a moment to do that.
I don't know that this helps anybody, but I thoroughly love the message and the songs.
It's a good service this morning, good message, absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, don't want to cheat anybody. If not, turn it over to Sean for the remainder of the service. Turn it over to Sean as he shared with us tonight. Sean, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you all for staying to cooperate with me tonight. Thank you all for coming to church tonight. I don't know about all of you, but I'm really enjoying this warm weather we've been having. I just hope that it continues like it's supposed to. I heard a story about a man whose company provides data security for military space operations. He talked about how vulnerable computers are to outside attacks. During a training exercise, hackers shut down a highly protected system without stealing a password or cracking a code. They simply accessed the unsecured maintenance program for the building that housed the computers and turned off the air conditioning. When the computer room became too hot, the system automatically shut down. I think just like in a military situation, overconfidence and a false sense of security can also lead to defeat in our battle against the forces of evil. In 1 Corinthians 10:12, Paul cautioned, "Let him who thinks he stands take heed, lest he fall." Eugene Peterson paraphrases this verse by saying, "Don't be so naive and self-confident. You are not exempt. You could fall flat on your face as easily as anyone else. Forget about self-confidence. It's useless. Cultivate God confidence." We are not told to try to outsmart the enemy of our souls, but to trust the one that can. God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape. Confidence in God and not ourselves is the key to staying spiritually on guard. Now that is a powerful and dramatic passage. It relates to us in a historical setting and then ties it to the Corinthian scene and then pushes beyond that to speak to us today. It tells about a whole nation of people who were blessed by God, who enjoyed exceedingly abundant privilege, who received from God an amazing gift of his love and grace, but who were also destroyed in judgment. The Apostle Paul is going to warn us about the dreadful and severe consequences of sin. He is also going to challenge us to avoid sin and persevere in our Christian lives. Paul argues that there is a very real possibility that many Christians will not finish their Christian lives well. But how do we guard our heart and mind? First, we understand our great spiritual privileges. And yet, with all that width of spiritual privilege, Paul had the fear of that exercise in his ministry. By failing to control his own body, he could be disqualified from service to God. And every believer ought to have that same idea. We have to live with that reality, that none of us is invincible. And a massive amount of privilege does not guarantee that we can live any way that we want to without consequences. I think that some people have assumed that because they have experienced so much blessing from God, or because they went to church their whole lives and been involved, or that their parents are want to without any kind of judgment. Israel is a prime example of this. So blessed, so privileged, so abundantly the recipients of God's graces, mercy, and loving kindness, that they actually learn how to abuse His grace. They pushed the limits of God's tolerance, and they lived on the dangerous edge that until finally disaster came. This is no second-hand generation. They knew God, they saw God, and they felt God. They were involved in His miraculous and mighty power. They were all there. You see, one of the things you have to deal with as a Christian is freedom. One of the things you have to deal with as a Christian is privilege. But you must deal with it the way that Paul did. He dealt with it by trying to control it with his renewed mind. You see, it is often the body and not the mind which tends to lead us into sin. I must look at my own life and say, I have received great privilege. And I have. I have received a great privilege. I have received privilege of not only learning from great and gifted men, but of also having great opportunity. I have the privilege of having great people around me who pour their life into me, who minister alongside of me. I am now having the privilege to be able to reach even beyond this church setting and ministry. And I need to be very, very cautious in the way that I live, so that it does not cause me to live loosely and abuse that privilege, but to live all the more tightly so that I would never do anything to be disqualified from God's service. And I live in that sense of pressure, if you will, that Paul understood. Great privilege does not mean God is looking at us saying, well, I'm going to give you everything because I like you better than I like anybody else, so feel free to do whatever you want. The Corinthian people, frankly, were overconfident. They were abusing their liberty because they thought they had everything. God must really like them. Boy, He gave them everything. I mean, they were born out of a marvelous ministry of the Apostle Paul himself. And second, we must learn from our predecessors' great spiritual failures. Paul had the same thought in Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27. As I said, the fear that in having so much privilege, you would get so comfortable in God's blessings that you would fail in the area of self-control. Specifically, what went wrong? To go from the assets to the abusers. What went wrong? In other words, these scriptures is an example to us. And here's the key to the whole thing. To interpret what he means is if our sins correspond to their sins, our judgment will correspond to their judgment. That's the point. It's a pattern. This is something that you can trace out. It'll be this way with you as it was with them. If your sins correspond to that, your fate will correspond to theirs. And what were their sins? First, that we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. Literally, that we should not be longing after worldliness. This is the desire for that which belongs to the world. This is us wanting what the world has. This is the half-hearted, as James calls it, a double-minded approach. Listen to Numbers 11:4. And the mixed multitudes that were among them fell to lusting. And it isn't that they're talking about immorality, but rather the children of Israel also wept. They started to cry, oh, she'll give us flesh to eat. See, they were lusting after food. They were tired of manna. They had had manna, and now they were complaining. God is just as serious about this. I don't know if you remember Psalms 78, but it's frightening. It says they tempted God. Verse 18, by asking for food according to their desire. They didn't want furnish a table in the wilderness, what kind of God have we got? He can't put on a decent banquet. Behold, he smote the rock, and water gushed out. The streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? This is them mocking God. There's a warning given to us collectively. It is important to know the source of all these sins: craving evil things. The craving of evil things in 10:6 was an episode that took place the year after the Exodus, which is Numbers 11. Israel had been given the law. They had built their tabernacle, and they had begun to travel. Do you know what the evil things were that they craved? They craved fresh vegetables. They were sick and tired of manna, and they wanted to go back to Egypt, where they could have cucumbers and garlic and onions. And we may laugh at this, but often we are guilty of craving a new car, a larger home, a new partner, a new wardrobe. In light of eternity, these cravings are on par with cucumbers, garlic, and onions. It doesn't matter how, in eternity, it doesn't matter about the car we drive or how large our home was. What difference will it make in eternity how successful we were in our jobs? Who will ask me what material possessions I provided for my children? Will I even care about those things in eternity? The answer is no. Yet Paul wants us to know that craving evil things can keep us from finishing our Christian lives well. Guard your heart and mind by learning the great spiritual failures of your forefathers. Now, I'm not saying getting a new car or a new house is a sin, but it is a sin if you don't feel at peace with God to do these things. It has to be in God's will and not ours. If you think you are smart and can experience and do things on your own to find out whether you are following a safe path, don't be surprised to find yourself in a place where there is no return. I've seen it happen in many churches. We just want to teach love. If you have ever watched a talk show like Oprah or Dr. Phil, not that long ago there was a girl who wanted to be married by her pastor. Then she went out and played and posed for an adult magazine. The pastor found out, then refused to marry her to this man. And she wanted to go, and she went on one of these talk shows to tell the whole world what this pastor had done to her. She said, "It's none of his business. It's my right to if I want to." She then used the word fornicate with her boyfriend for several years. And if I want to pose in an adult magazine, Jesus would never condemn me for that. She then said, "Jesus loves me. I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian. I believe in his death and resurrection." She went on to say that Jesus would never condemn me for that. And I don't think it's right for him to condemn me. Now listen, if you could have a Jesus like that, people would be lining up at the door to sign up for that Jesus. The whole place applauded her like mad when this girl said that, and it blew my mind. And you can preach that kind of Christianity and stack them in the buildings. Because people love a religion that doesn't put any rules on their immorality. What this girl said and did was 100% wrong. And if she died before repentance and doing away with her sinful life, she would go to hell. I feel that I can say that and be sure of it. The Israelites were exactly where this woman was. Hey, they wanted to worship God, only they wanted to reduce God to a form where he would tolerate their orgies. See, this kind of idol is man-created. And a church can come to a point where it restructures God to be the kind of God that tolerates their excuses. And they've got an idol and not a God. And it's that kind of idolatry that begins to destroy and disqualify. We live in a day where that is all rampant. Imagine somebody standing on national television saying, "I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, and if I want to fornicate with my boyfriend, that's my privilege. There was a day not that long ago where people would no more do that, let alone say it on live TV. I mean, you wouldn't think of such a thing. But now, it seems you can go out and say and do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter because you say you're a Christian. And it's accepted. And when you say it, and it's true, those things are true about you, but you say that you're a Christian, you are trying to disqualify yourself. Third, have no self-confidence, only confidence in God. Another way out of temptation provided by God is the advice Paul offers in verse 12. Don't be too sure of yourself. If you think you are standing firm, he says, be careful that you don't fall. A bit of humility, a little self-doubt can be a way out of a number of difficult situations. Celebrity news is full of examples of people who think they can engage in all kinds of risky behavior without consequences. They think that because they make so much money, they're invincible. They think that because they're so famous, they can do anything and it won't matter. But eventually, the laws of gravity, the laws of the land, and the laws of human limitations catch up with them. We make mistakes when we think we are too good to fail. We fall into temptation when we think that we are immune to evil. We commit sin when we think too highly of ourselves and go busting through life without significant caution. In our Christian tradition, we uphold Jesus as the person who would have had the most reason to be sure of himself. If anyone ever lived without sin, it was Jesus. But even Jesus was tempted. How did he deal with temptation? What was his way out? He humbled himself. Over and over, the Gospels portrayed Jesus as one who would lower himself to be present with the lowly, the sick, and the outcast of his society. Jesus bowed himself down and washed his disciples' dirty feet. Philippians 2 instructs us that Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking on the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. Jesus humbled himself, became obedient to death, and even death on a cross. A certain degree of self-confidence is necessary for us to do what is right and good. But we must also have a sense of humility that gives us pause. In situations of temptation, where it would be easy for us to make the wrong choice, some measure of self-questioning will often provide us with a better alternative. And this advice for us is not to be too sure of ourselves. God provides us a way out. A man who was not an architect decided to draw plans for his new home. He was very proud of what he had done. He hired a builder with the firm understanding that he would follow the blueprints exactly. You may not like my plans, but they suit me. So don't even try to change anything at all. Even if it appears best to your judgment, I want to take all the credit and show the world what I can do. The owner was out of town while the house was being framed. Upon his return, he immediately went to inspect it. With his plans in hand, he and the builder checked out the downstairs. Just like I designed it, he complimented himself. Now let's take a look at the upstairs. Looking around, he couldn't find the staircase. There isn't any, the builder said. The owner was irate. How did any carpenter in his right mind build a two-story house without a staircase? The builder spread out the plans and recalled the agreement. To his amazement and embarrassment, the owner found out that he'd forgotten to design any stairs. We smile at that, but there is a lesson in the story that hits close to home. All around us, we have people who want a second story, a third story, a fourth story to their lives. They're not happy being on the ground level with the rest of us. Some even have visions of a skyscraper. But pride and self-confidence rob some of ever achieving their goals. They brag about being self-made. They need neither God nor anyone else to plan their lives. That's why some end up with the goal, but no steps to achieve it. If only our confidence was in our Creator, our Master Builder, and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Let's bow our heads. Dear Jesus, we thank you for the things that you do for us. We thank you for opening our hearts and letting us praise you in this place, in your house. We ask that you continue to be with us as we leave this place, but don't ever let us leave your presence. Dear Lord, we ask that you continue to touch us and keep us safe.